There we go. Okay. Sorry, the board met tonight in exec session. We're now ready to begin the public portion of our meeting. We'll start with written communications. We received an email from Councilwoman Debbie Manns on the Municipal Alliance and steps to go forward on that. We're still in discussions about that. We received an email from members of the Hvac, the Special Education Parents Committee, on related to litigation issues. And we are in the process of scheduling a meeting with those individuals to discuss for further discussion. We received an email from Karina Tahiliani with suggestions for outdoor recess opportunities as we head towards cooler weather. We've responded to that. We received an email from Joanna Piotrowska on a student matter, and Dirk has responded to that. We have received an email from Amy Samuels on certain district procedures. That email has been addressed. And we received an email from GRBDIA on equity and diversity efforts, and the response to that is pending. Those are all the written communications. The President's report. The state budget has been signed, and planning for the FY22 budget will begin shortly, both in school districts and in the state. I want to bring your attention to an item on the agenda, which is the retirement of custodian Billy D'Amato. He's been with us 32 years, and he will be retiring in May. I think that custodians, we see them, we hear them, but sometimes we don't acknowledge them. And I think Billy has had a quiet but consistent impact on the life of this district. So we will have time to, what? I'm sorry. We will have time to honor Billy D'Amato probably towards the end of the year, but I wanted to bring that to your attention. And that is the, I wanted to also in the President's report just bring to your attention that excuse the technical difficulties, the first time for this, that the board has the responsibility of coming up with two different sets of goals. One are goals for the district, one are goals for the board itself. We discussed in exec session 3 goals for the district, and we will be working with the committees to come up with 3 goals for, or several goals, 3 to 5 goals for the board itself. And that's it for the President's report. Superintendent's report.
Thank you. I'm going to share my screen real quick, so please be patient. Right. I have some information that included some data, so I thought it was important to had a visual aid as I spoke about it. First of all, I just want to report out on the class of 2020. They had a late graduation, but still had an outstanding year. We had 99.2% of our students graduate. And the state has asked us to report on how they graduated. So students are required to have some kind of graduation assessment in order to meet the requirement of being a New Jersey graduate. In language arts, the primary graduation assessment is the New Jersey Student Learning Assessment, and that is for grade 10. 129 of our graduates passed that exam, and we had 1 student had used an alternative assessment, and the alternative assessment could be PSATs, SATs, ACTs, or either the grade 9 language arts test or the grade 11 language arts test. In mathematics, we had 126 of our students use the primary assessment, which would be the Algebra 1 assessment. And they take the Algebra 1 assessment the year that they take the Algebra 1 course. So for that's going to be different depending on the individual. So, some of our students take Algebra 1 in 8th grade, and other students take it in 9th grade. But we had 126 students use the Algebra 1 test from the New Jersey Student Learning Assessment, and 4 students took the alternative test. I also want to go over the AP exams. Last year, we all know was a very unique year. In the middle of March, we went shut down our school doors and students went virtual. The college boards made some changes to the advanced placement test based on those conditions. One, that they limited the curriculum that they were going to test on, and the second was that students took the AP exams virtually. So this was a first, and so I caution comparing last year's results with previous year's results, but the students did do extremely well. We had 245 students take 636 tests. 84% of them scored a 3 or higher on all those exams. And we had 27 subject areas that we offered here in school. And we had some students take advantage of VHS and some online AP courses. So our numbers were extremely high. Which you don't know how the students were going to react to the given conditions, but our students seem to excel taking that test virtually. And as we start looking at our students historically, and the number of tests taken in Glenridge High School, it continues to go up. And that's really due to a couple reasons. One, we're offering more tests, and that was based on student interest. And we realized that through our VHS offerings, that psychology and economics were very popular courses for students to take online. So we started to offer them here in the school, and then we had a greater number of students sign up for those 2 courses. We've also added the capstone program with a seminar and research class. We've offered human geography, and we've offered Chinese. So we've been adding AP classes over the last several years. And that, and we also have students who are more students who are taking more than one AP exam. The students senior class last year, we had a lot of them being recognized for how well they've done on the AP exams, and that's a listing of the number of different honors that were recognized for their achievement. And if you go to college boards, it will define what each one of those honors represent. And I just wanted to provide a few updates for everyone. I also want to recognize Billy D'Amato, who's retiring in May. I've worked with Billy at Ridgewood Avenue School and at the high school. I've known him for 25 years, and he's a terrific gentleman, hard worker, very polite, and he's going to be missed by the students and the staff. And I want to wish him the best. I want to let everyone know that our assessment calendar is up on the website, and any standard assessment that we give during the year is listed on that calendar. It tells you what grade levels are taking the assessment. It tells you what subject areas, when they're taking the test, or a roundabout date, and when those results should be in. When possible, it also gives you a link to a website that has practice questions and more information about that assessment. So I will let you know that I just got notification on Friday that Ridgewood Avenue students will be taking the NAEP, so I got to update that calendar already. Glenridge High School HVAC update. We are meeting weekly with Binsky, who's a company that's doing the maintenance and repairs. We had to move our date back to October 26th as the opening. They are continue to work on a number of issues, but are fully manning the project, and the only holdup they would see at this point is if parts did not come in as scheduled. So we're hopeful that the October 26th will allow us to open that Monday in a hybrid and get the high school students back in. We will be following up with them multiple times through the next few weeks. I do want to talk about finances. The state budget was approved, and this is about the time of year that we start planning for next school year. And this year, we're seeing a lot of challenges because of the pandemic, and expenses of increases with PPE equipment, a number of leaves that we've had to have this year. And we're seeing a dip in our revenues that are concerning. One is our pre-K program, because it's only half day. We've changed the tuition, so we've lost some revenue in pre-K tuition, but also our aftercare and before care program. We are seeing significant losses there because we do not have the same enrollment because of the hybrid models and other reasons. I imagine there's more families that are working from home than are commuting into the city, which was the case in the past. So we are looking into that, the before and after care program, and seeing ways that we could restructure it so those losses are minimal. And I do want to talk about phase 2 a little bit. We're starting to have discussions about what phase 2 will look like, and we're going to continue to have those discussions. One of the things that we have decided on is originally phase 2 was going to be bringing back the full student body and still remain in a half-day schedule. But as we're considering social distancing and flu and cold season around the corner, we're thinking that phase 2 would probably be best not bringing back the full student body at one time, but extending the school days, and so the AB students would be going longer during the day. I'm going to have an initial discussion with Dr. Donovan and Mr. Heitman, what that may look like at Ridgewood Avenue School. I will be speaking with Dr. Caravella and Mr. Murphy about what that would look like in the primary schools. And at the high school, we are just we're not going to have those discussions until the high school students are in the building. We have a few weeks of operation under our belt to see how everything is working, making the necessary tweaks if we need to, and making sure that our health and safety protocols are working well before we discuss having the students in the building longer. But we will be monitoring that closely. And that is my report.
Do any board members have any questions on the superintendent's report? Questions? No? Okay. We have now arrived at the first public comment period for comments or questions on agenda items only. The rules apply. The usual rules apply. Anyone can use the raise your hand function, which is down by the participants tab on the bottom of your screen. People get 2 minutes, which I will time for their questions or comments. If you have multiple questions or comments, please give them to us right up front so we can answer them in the order that you give them to us. And we have a second public comment period at the end. So if you have further thoughts, you can utilize that. Also, when I call on you, please give me your name and affirm that you are a Glenridge resident. All right, are there any questions or comments? Okay, I have a raised hand. I'm trying to find, Greta Sawa, please go ahead.
Greta Sawa, Glenridge. Will the phase 2 program have an all virtual component too, or are you going to make everybody go into the hybrid program?
Here, you want to take
Yeah,
that?
I'll take that. There'll still be an all hybrid component to that. That is mandated by the state that the schools offer that, so we will continue that, and that's part of the discussion we're having with that I'll be having with Dr. Donovan and Mr. Heitman of what that would look like.
You mean all virtual?
And all virtual, yes, if we
Yeah.
extend our school day. At this time, the students are roughly doing a little bit of 4 hours, and I know extending that could be an issue, but we're looking at building in a lunch and a recess, so those all virtual students would have time away from the computer to relax and debrief before the afternoon session. So that might be beneficial to them.
Thank you.
Jocelyn Gottlieb.
Hi, this is Jocelyn Gottlieb. I'm a Glenridge resident. I was just wondering when the goals for the district and then for the board itself will be shared and when we can expect them to be adopted.
The board itself is still working on its goals. We should be adopting the district goals next at the next meeting.
Great, thank you.
Other questions or comments? I don't see any further raised hands. All right, if those are the questions or comments, remember that we will have another period at the end of the meeting. This is the first meeting of the month, and so it is time for us to do committee and liaison reports. Heather, why don't we start with you?
Thank you. I went to the Linden Home and School meeting on September 16th. At that time, they were still looking for committee chairs and class parents. They talked about combining the Munham and Crumb with the Pumpkin Walk to make a one event that I believe is coming up soon. They're talking about having a virtual book fair in November. They're thinking about trying to have virtual assemblies, and they're talking about purchasing canopies to help with temperature screening and stuff like that in inclement weather. Their next meeting is November 11th.
Okay, Anthony. Anthony?
I had a few unofficial communications from the GRAA board about the restoration of the basketball rims at the schoolyards, and also some discussion about intramural competition. I think that has not been deemed possible yet by the state, and I think the GRA is just thinking forward toward the spring, at least for the outdoor basketball rims and the intramural play as soon as the state deems that as a possibility. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Tracy?
Sorry. Grace held their first meeting on September 23rd. The Personnel Committee met on October 2nd, and we discussed several ongoing personnel issues. I'd like to direct the public's attention to the letter that the Educational Foundation sent out to district parents. I believe it was last week. The Educational Foundation has been amazing throughout the years in supporting programs in our schools. But right now, we really owe them a debt of gratitude. They just funded a program that allows 9 teachers to receive education and training in the Orton-Gillingham approach. And those 9 teachers are going to be working on this program with Farley Dickinson University. And these students, the students will be receiving the benefit immediately, because this is a program that that brings the students in right away. So thank you so much to them. I'd also like to point out that they have funded the districts belonging to the Central Jersey Consortium for Excellence and Equity at Monmouth University. They continue to fund our virtual high school every year. They have reached out to the district and have been providing things to the teachers in a streamlined way this spring and the fall during the middle of the crisis. So that's been wonderful. And they continue to fund the Literably program. So these are all things that are immensely valuable to the district. And so if you have not received that letter yet, I think that's going to be sent out townwide as well. But thank you to the Educational Foundation.
Thank you. David?
I attended the Ridgewood Avenue School Home and School Association meeting on October 2nd. Dr. Donovan's report started off by saying that students have been excellent in mask compliance, it's not been an issue at all, and the students have been as well behaved as they typically are in every way as it regards masks and wearing them in on the days that they're in school. He also noted that there's a noticeable increase in his view of students and parents making the decision to switch from virtual to a hybrid model there. He didn't have numbers, but hopefully we'll have something like that by the next meeting. Student council elections are this coming Friday, October 9th. So just like in November, kids need to get out and vote. October 12th is, there will be no school at Ridgewood Avenue School. I'm sure that's on the calendar. It's a staff development day. Red Ribbon Week is coming up. Of course, there's not going to be an Edgar Allan Poe trip this Halloween season. So the sixth graders are going to miss out on that due to the pandemic. The brick sale for the courtyard project, if anyone hasn't seen images of the courtyard project, they should see Dr. Donovan about that. It looks going to look terrific. And if you haven't bought your bricks yet, please hurry, because they're going to close sales of bricks pretty soon. They're just about full up. Most of the other fundraisers, like the lower elementary schools, kind of on hold and are being pushed back to spring in terms of the in-person stuff. You can still get a mask though, presumably with a rhino, I guess, right? So the mask fundraiser will continue as long as there is demand. Spiritwear, if you were at the meeting, you got a little preview of the Hvac. There's a really cool looking rhino sweatshirt that will sell out very quickly. So get in the Spiritwear sale as early as you can. And the Chromebook case fundraiser netted in the positive territory nearly $400. The Chromebook cases looked great, and a lot of people participated in it. So they ended up in the black on that, and a lot of people got Chromebook cases. Paul will report on the finance and facilities meeting that we had the other day.
Before that happens, I will report out on the meeting of the first time I have attended a meeting of the Glenridge Black Diversity and Inclusion Association, which is new to our roster of committee and liaisons. We met on Saturday, and we discussed a number of things, including the activities of the district's equity committee. We discussed the fact that many private schools and obviously entities in the private sector have diversity and inclusion specific personnel. And we talked about ways of fulfilling that function perhaps in the district. We talked about linking the GRBDIA website to our homepage, which is going to be done. And we talked in general about helping our staff be more open to the concerns of Black parents and Black students, and the need for all of us to be more educated about microaggressions particularly. So we're looking forward to more meetings with the GRB DIA, and that is my report. Michael.
Yeah, the curriculum committee met, I think 2 weeks ago, but it feels like it was about 3 years ago. We went over the same AP test results and information data that we talked about tonight. We talked about option 2, what some of the students are currently doing in option 2. We talked about some of our equity issues and incorporating equity concepts into our curriculum reviews as we go forward. We got an update on remote instruction and teacher evaluations. I think that was all we covered, and I think that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Allie.
Okay, am I unmuted?
You are.
Okay. Hi, everybody. The Glenridge High School Home and School Association meeting was held virtually on September 18th, 2020. I had a last-minute conflict and was unable to attend, so thank you to Julie Stolte for providing me a copy of her unapproved minutes. Mr. Lawler reported that the HVAC is being worked on and the building is being prepped every day, such as adding signage and sanitizing stations. He asked that parents remember to go on the Skyward app and complete the health screening every day once school is in session. He plans to put out a survey prior to reopening to see if families want to change their status. He will also have another evening presentation the week before the opening to answer questions, as well as a meeting with students to make sure they understand the hybrid schedule. Students were recently inducted into the National Honor Society and the National Hispanic Honor Society on the back field. President Kristen O'Neill introduced this year's board members. Lauren Johnson is the new treasurer. Julie Stolte is the secretary. Jennifer Pine, and I don't want to mess up her name, but let me try. Lucilla Biantomenico are the new VPs. Hope I got that right. Dr. Harris and Ms. Landgraber reported that the 7th graders have been coming in for tours, that they partnered with Quell for a weekly meditation session during study hall. They discussed the pivot links letter that's being sent out to parents, the planning of a 7th grade outdoor movie night, peer leadership, and the planning of a virtual club fair, as well as the start of a mentoring program between the 7th and 8th grade. Athletic Director Rob Hill reported on safety guidelines and precautions, including health screening, mask wearing requirements, transportation, fan attendance, and athletic training. This is a constantly evolving situation, so he'll keep us posted. The treasurer, Lauren Johnson, reported on the accounts she manages and the project graduation funds. President Kristen O'Neill thanked volunteers for their work on various projects and mentioned the Executive Council Mask Fundraiser. She also encouraged people to join the Glenridge High School Facebook page as well as their individual class pages. Thank you.
Okay. Paul?
Good evening. Since I last reported out on the Facilities and Finance Committee, we've met twice, once since our last public session, most recently Friday, addressing many of the COVID-related issues that Mr. Phillips described, both loss of revenue, some additional aid associated with COVID, concerns associated with the facilities and their adaptation to COVID, specifically at the high school. At our last meeting, just last week, we had the opportunity to speak to a representative of the maintenance contractor who is making those current repairs. As Mr. Phillips described, it's largely contingent upon the availability of parts at this point. It's not a labor issue. They've been great in terms of supporting the district and our needs. At this time, we're competing, so to speak, with many other schools who are in the same predicament requiring the same parts, which is making sourcing some of these materials difficult, but we remain hopeful. We've benefited from some good fortune in some instances, having completed the referendum work most recently, but also the proactive actions of the administration in securing a lot of the COVID PPE, as well as engaging our contractors and having previously negotiated fixed pricing for a lot of the services that they're now providing us. I'll leave it at that. Just questions.
I don't hear anything. Does anyone have any questions for Paul? Okay. Yeah, Teresa? Teresa, you're muted. Technical difficulties. Those of you who are with us regularly know that this is our first time being back together. So hopefully you will be patient with our adapting to both masks and technology. Now, Teresa. Get there, right? Right? Yeah, right. Try that one.
Is 3 times a charm?
There you are. It absolutely is.
Okay, 3 times a charm. You see that? We're prepared. Our IT department, we switch in and out. Thank
And
you.
we owe a large,
So we work-
large debt to Whitney Boswell for helping us through this
We
situation.
do. And not just the microphones, that's for sure. The Home and School for Forest Avenue did meet on the 16th and are expected to meet again this week, so we'll have more from them. But we mentioned in our last meeting that there were 30 Chromebooks that by the Home and School, which was terrific. They had a wonderful program where they supplied the Home and School program supplied families with their school supplies, and that went very well. They have this great Friday flash newsletter that gives everyone an update on what's going on, which is great, especially in these times. And we have so much that we're trying to keep track of. There was a recognition of the custodians, and they had a day where their gift bags were given. They had a Charleston wrap fundraiser, the wrapping paper and whatnot that they're pursuing. They're still, as of the Friday flash for the 2nd, needed some folks to raise their hands for their committees, some of the committees and class parents. Everybody who takes a break from cooking on Wednesday and gets an Angelo's pizza is going to help the school. And I'm delighted that it looks as though the Festival of Jack-o'-lanterns is going to continue for October and a variety of other things, including the Week of Respect that begins this week. And I'll have a little bit more if they have their meeting on Wednesday as they plan to. So sorry for that delay, but there you have it.
Thank you. Okay, we will now continue with our routine business. All of you have had a chance to take a look at the minutes of our meetings, executive meeting and regular meeting from September 21st. I noted one small correction, which I've already given to Barbara, which is that Jeff Merlino was with us rather than Athena, who is with us tonight. Does anyone else have any additions, deletions, et cetera, for either of those agendas?
Nope.
Okay, that being the case, Michael, would you move the minutes?
Yes, I will move M1.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second from David Campbell. Barbara, when you are ready, please call the roll.
Aye.
Boyle Vellucci. Am I mute?
Aye.
Oh. Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. DeLu,
Aye.
Ms. Lang,
Aye.
Mr. Romano,
Aye. Yes.
Ms. St. Aubert,
Aye.
Dr. Yaris Ramos,
Aye.
Ms. Ginsburg.
Carries. Personnel. Tracy, would you move the personnel items?
Yes, I move P1 through P8 with the addition of items on the addendum to P1, P2, and P4.
All right, may I have a second?
Second.
Second.
I think Ally has the second. In keeping with our rules of the board members code of ethics, we discuss personnel items in executive session. That being the case, Barbara, would you call the roll?
Mr. Bonnet,
Aye.
Ms. Boyle Vellucci,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. DeLu,
Aye.
Ms. Lang,
Aye.
Mr. Romano,
Aye.
Ms. St. Aubert,
Aye.
Dr. Yaris Ramos,
Aye.
Ms. Ginsburg.
Aye. Motion carries. We have a curriculum item. Michael, would you move the curriculum item?
It's been so long since we've had a curriculum item, but this one's a game changer. I move C1, which is the school bus evacuation drill report.
May I have a second?
You have a second.
That's Anthony. Does anyone have any questions about the bus emergency evacuation drill report? Okay, that being the case, Barbara, would you call the roll?
Mr. Bonnet,
Aye.
Ms. Boyle Vellucci, Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
is that a yes?
That was a yes.
Mr. DeLu,
Aye.
Ms. Lang,
Aye.
Mr. Romano,
Aye.
Ms. St. Aubert,
Aye.
Dr. Yaris Ramos,
Aye.
Ms. Ginsburg.
Aye. Before we come to the second public comment period on agenda items or other items related to the running of the schools, I wanted to expand just a little bit on the question and answer to that Jocelyn Gottlieb made earlier. The board goals are goals that can be controlled by the board. The district goals are bigger and more overarching, and those are the goals upon which we evaluate both ourselves and the superintendent. So I wanted to, we have come up with 3 potential goals, and I wanted to say what they are so that those who are with us can think about them a little bit. The 3 district goals, potential district goals, are to develop a GRPS equity plan, to continue the development of a pandemic strategy, and to start the strategic planning process, which is something that all districts go through periodically every 5 or 7 years. So that is the 3rd goal. And with that, we will have public comments. The same rules apply.
Yes.
Can you hear me? It says I am unmuted.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm just going to move B1 through B5.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I made the motion. I don't need to wait. I'm going to move B1 through B5.
I'll second.
Does anyone have any discussion now that we've, that Mr. Campbell has helped me out with the business items? Discussion of the business items? My apologies, David. Barbara, would you call the roll?
Mr. Bonnet,
Aye.
Ms. Boyle-Valucci,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. DeLu,
Aye.
Ms. Lang,
Aye.
Mr. Romano,
Aye.
Ms. St. Aubern,
Aye.
Dr. Yaris Ramos,
Aye.
Ms. Ginsburg.
Aye. All right, now we truly have arrived at the public comment period. The same rules apply. If you have a question or comment, raise your hand. Okay. Earlier I saw Jack had raised his hand. No, okay. Other questions or comments for the board? Okay, seeing none. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Moved by David, may I have a second?
Second.
Second by Anthony. Thank you all. And thanks especially to Winnie for helping us through this first somewhat difficult session with both masks and in-person encounters. Thank you all. Good night.